guys, welcome back to We Watched a Movie. I am Mike, and there is a movie on Netflix right now called Leave the World Behind that is a post-apocalyptic thriller that moves and feels a lot like a horror film, but it's got way too many fancy people in it for it to call itself that. People like Julia Roberts, Mahershala Ali. It also has horror stalwarts Ethan Hawke and Kevin Bacon in it. Holy shit, fuck, this thing is stacked to the tits. It's also a movie that has a lot of people pissed off and conspiracy theorists just running around Buc-ee's travel stations with their shirts off covered in Crisco oil. Man, those guys are wily. We're going to talk about all that today, but first in a spoiler-free section, and at the end we're going to talk spoilers, because this is one of those movies you just have to talk spoilers for it. So, first off, where are the conspiracy theories coming from? Why are people so upset? Well, people are upset about everything and anything these days because it's 2023, and that's just the world we live in, but part of it is because this was produced by the Obamas, and there is a couple moments in the film where Julia Roberts' character says some racist shit. Not like full out there, out front, but she hints at some racist stuff. So there's the faction of people out there who were saying, you know, the typical culture war stuff. Oh, this is woke and they're trying to make you hate white people. I can tell you as a person who doesn't buy into either side's bullshit on any of this, that it's just a movie with characters in it who are imperfect. And it's meant to be about how we treat each other at times. So I can forget that. As far as the Obamas being involved in it, you know, that's where the conspiracy theory parts come from. And that part, to me, is kind of fun because the theory out there is about predictive programming. And what they're trying to say is that where the Obamas executive produced this and even gave advice to the director, the guy, by the way, who was the guy who made the Mr. Robot TV series, about how the end of the world could go down, how these cyber attacks and things would go down realistically, because, you know, he was a fucking president. He would probably know, but he even helped him with that stuff. So there's this conspiracy theories going around about this movie and all these tiny little things, like the one character wears a shirt that says obey on it, and one character is obsessed with Friends, and there's just all these little tiny people are reaching really deep into the crazy buckets on this one. But the one thing that does stand to me is the predictive programming plot, because what that is, if you don't know, it's the theory that, well, it's put a lot more sinister than I think it actually is. Like, so some people say that things like this are the government trying to get you prepared and to accept and to brainwash you into accepting these things that are going to happen in reality. So they're trying to brainwash you into it. For me, I think it's more interesting on the less sinister side of it, whereas like Tom DeLonge, from my favorite band of all time, obviously Blink-182, when he got into doing To the Stars and left and everybody said he was crazy, he says that he was contacted by the government, and basically the idea that they had was they are going to feed him little bits of information, and then he's going to put it out there with his music and his art and his fame and how he is, and help ease society into the fact that aliens are real, into disclosure on aliens. And that's taken a billion turns since then. But that being out there makes shit like this seem like, and obviously it's not fun, because if cyber attacks and all this stuff that happens in this movie is something that the government predicts is going to happen, because it could happen, this is a very realistic movie as far as what could happen in the world, then obviously that's scary as shit. Don't want that, don't like that one bit. But it's always fun to theoretize? Not in that whole like everyone's evil and they're out to suck our blood kind of way. And if you do, that's cool. Hey man, that's you. But there's also references to like evil cabals and like things like that. A lot of little word drops that are just like thrown out there that you could latch onto if you wanted to and really go down a deep hole. I think it's fascinating. I think it's interesting, but that is basically the gist of what's surrounding this movie that's got everybody talking about it, apart from the fact that it has this huge cast in it and all that, and it's a really, really well-made movie. As far as the movie itself goes, again, non-spoiler at first, what happens is, so Julia Roberts, who is a misanthrope, which just means that she hates people, she can't stand people, and I think we've all felt like that from time to time if you go to a Walmart at the wrong time of day in the wrong city. But she wakes up one day and she says, hey, fuck it. I'm not feeling great. Pack up the kids, Ethan Hawke, she's telling her husband, and let's go. I booked us an Airbnb in Long Island, which is one of those things. It's like, damn, it must be nice to be that rich to be like, hey, I just decided this morning we're taking a vacation, and I rented this big giant fucking house on the side of a lake. It's like, man, that's the exact level of money I want to have. But while they're there and they're introducing us to these characters' personalities, and she's definitely a type A personality, and Ethan Hawke is a type B. He's just kind of a chill, nice dude. At least it seems on the surface, because everyone's got something sketchy to him in this movie. You're always waiting for, you know, the heel turn on all of these characters. But they're there and they're introducing us. The little girl's obsessed with Friends and watching it on her tablet, and the teenage boy is a little asshole, a little horny prick. You know, the typical caricatures of suburban people, I guess you could say. But that night, things take this very barbarian-esque turn where Mahershala Ali and his daughter show up, knock on the front door, and are like, hey, we live here. And he's all creepy about it, the way he talks, and he makes himself seem sketchy as hell. And this whole thing is very, very M. Night Shyamalan throughout the movie. It's one of the things I enjoy most about it. Even the tones and the characters, the way they're made in this movie, is very, very much reminds me of M. Night Shyamalan. But he and his daughter, he's like, this is our house. We own it, and we rent it to you for Airbnb, but we were in the city at like the symphony, and there was a blackout. And can we stay here tonight? Basically, something's going on in the city. And then the internet goes out, the TV goes out. These people are secluded. They're together. Nobody trusts anybody. Julia Roberts is a huge bitch to this guy. And Ethan Hawke's just trying to keep the peace and, you know, let's have a drink, maybe smoke some weed. Everybody calm the fuck down. And it's very tense in that way. Again, very mysterious and barbarian-like. You could even go 10 Cloverfield Lane as far as like the isolation with everything going on the periph. Fucking periph. And as the movie unfolds, just weirder and weirder shit starts to happen. At one point previous to that, they're at the beach and this oil tanker just like fucking pulls up on sea and lands there. And there's multiple scenes like that touch on disaster movies in cool ways. And yeah, you know, it's the typical, you can tell it's CG or whatever going on, but they are filmed really well. Each scene, whether it's the oil tanker or an airplane or whatever you see, they all have their own spin on them. There's always just, whether it's the way it's shot or what a character does. I thought they did a great job with all the world ending scenes. You could tell like they didn't have the budget and they didn't want to go deep and show it to you, but seeing it happen from like, you know, at arm's length is pretty fucking cool. And if you're an enthusiast of disaster films, I think you'll enjoy these shots as well, even though they are short-lived. They pace them out well and it keeps you invested. A movie like a lot like Await Further Instructions. I think that's the name of that movie. I hope I'm right. That's a horror movie you should check out if you like this one. It's got some crazy ass stuff in it, and it's just like this. They're just in their house and they start getting messages through the TV, and it's like, do you follow the instructions? Do you trust the government? What do you do? And these people are in this house and these things keep happening. Things keep getting weird and these fucking deer keep showing up and they have to learn to trust each other. Should they trust each other? Kevin Bacon lives down the road and he is a doomsday prepper. So he's got it all, but he is a scary son bitch. And his character comes into play at all this. And ultimately it's really about these people being secluded while it looks like the end of the world's happening around him. And it all feels very, very Lost. Smoke monster, what's in the fucking hatch? The movie leads you along, and it's always about where these things land. Like, you can interest me and fascinate the shit out of me. And this movie will. It encapsulates. You were sitting there just like, what is that? Where's this hallway going down to? What's at the end of this road? What is that fucking lady doing out there? Are those flyers? What the fuck? There's so many questions you have and so many mystery boxes that the movie's super entertaining and really enjoyable to watch. And the characters and what they're going to do next is really enjoyable to watch. And again, those hushed tones that they speak in, the very clean dialogue. I love Ethan Hawke's character, how he just is kind of laid back and he's just trying to deal with his very anal wife and not in the way that he probably wishes. He's dealing with all this really well. And I think we can all kind of see ourselves in his character throughout most of the film, just trying to just chill the fuck out and get some goddamn peace. Maybe have a whiskey, because Mahershala Ali looks like he makes great old fashions that look delicious, and I wanted one. But so it's fascinating to watch all that unfold. The ending is the thing, because you get to the point where you're going to get an answer. And obviously I'm not going to say anything about this for you guys who haven't seen it. I want you guys to get a chance to see it for yourself. The end will make a lot of people very, very angry. And I'm not saying that you don't get answers. I'm just saying they end it in a very cheeky way, you know, like a M. Night Shyamalan movie, kind of. I'm not even saying there's a twist. I'm just saying it's one of those, you're going to end right now. You fucking did, didn't you? Yep. There it is. There's those fucking credits. So ultimately, I give this movie an 8.5. I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was, again, it was filmed amazingly. I love the disaster shots. I love the characters, the mystery. It had it all. Had me just on the edge of my seat, really interested to watch, and it's a beautiful film to look at. Totally recommend you guys watch this on Netflix, as long as you're not too crazy about all the, oh my God, that's something fucking woke. Like, you know what I mean? I'll be the first one to call it out when I see it. Like, stop trying to fucking, virtue signal and all that stuff and just ham fist message down our throats. There's nothing here, man. I saw some stuff. Someone's like, oh, of course, Obama put a black person in the movie. And I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, Jason, will you calm the fuck down with this shit? You know what I mean? There's really nothing there. If you want to go the conspiracy theory, like, oh my God, Obama is evil and he helped plan this end of the world scenario that's going to happen. And he's trying to let us know that he did it. And it's like, then why the fuck would he try? Why would he be trying to let us know that he did it? I do think, again, that there's something to be said about the government knows something like this and how possible it is. And they are trying to like get us comfortable with the idea, like, hey, this shit could really go down. Maybe you should go buy some fucking beanie weenies at Kroger tonight and put them in the basement. I believe that. I do. I mean, I'm not saying I like believe it. Like, I probably wouldn't bet $20 on it. I'm just saying it's that kind of interests me. So that is the non-spoiler movie review. Let's talk about what actually happens in the movie. First off, Hella, my dog is snoring right underneath the microphone. Go. Hey, wake up. You're not going to move. Okay. I'll just go fuck myself. Okay. Thanks. First off, the plane crash scene I thought was dope. When it goes into the water and then like when he goes up against that wall and you see the ocean crashing down on him, I thought that was a really cool scene. And he gets back and she's standing there wet and she's like, you fell into a pool? What the hell's going on with that? But so that's, the movie's not, it's not that crazy of an explanation when you find out what's going on. Like, this was a cyber attack. And I think the best answer we got out of the entire thing was when Kevin Bacon's character was like, well, we've made a lot of enemies. Because at one point when Ethan Hawke's going down the road and that I don't know what the point of that was, other than to show that he was kind of an asshole deep down, even though he seems like a nice guy. But when that lady was speaking Spanish and she was trying to get into his car and he just kind of drove off and left her. And then it was very Jordan Peele moment right here when you see all those flyers go up into this tornado in the sky. And he said later that it was a drone that was dropping him out, but I just thought it looked creepy as fuck. I was trying to figure out what was going on. And he runs home and then those blaring noises start happening. Like, there's this siren that just, and everybody's just like, oh, well, this sucks. We don't have internet. We're stuck here. It's just kind of like when there's an ice storm, no power, but at least we're not being attacked. And then all of a sudden this noise just pipes in and from everywhere. And it's breaking windows. It's knocking everybody to their knees. And the one character, one of the most fucked up things that happens is the one dude, the teenager, wakes up the next morning and his teeth start to fall out. And like, he's pulling them out of his mouth. And I'm like, geez, stop pulling them. Why are you pulling them fucking out? Leave them bloody shits in there, man. But so they decide, oh, we got bit by something. He may have Lyme disease. And they drive to Kevin Bacon's house. And at first he seems like a nice dude, but then he's like, I'm going to need you to step by your car over there. Pulls out a gun. And they're asking him for some antibiotics because they know he's like a super doomsday prep or whatever. But he's being a huge cunt about the whole thing. But he does say, they get it worked out. And he says that those flyers where it says death to America on them. So they thought it was one faction that it was. And he's like, I heard that my buddy got one of those on another side of the country, but it was in Mandarin or whatever. So they assume that there's multiple factions attacking America at the same time because of the enemies, the Koreans, whoever. And that's kind of what happened. And what he mentions is Mahershala Ali's character, who knows about all this stuff because he works with these extremely rich and powerful men, that the quickest way to take us down would be to break down our communications, take our internet, really put us in a fishbowl where we can't reach out to each other and figure out what's going on, scramble our communications. They got us there with the internet, which we would lose. I think I read like one day without the internet in America would lose like over $500 billion or something like that. I'm not sure the exact numbers, but it's something crazy. And then the next thing you know, if we're already so unstable as a society between each other, we will basically do the rest ourselves. You scare us and we're just going to kill each other off. And this standoff between them was an example of that. And I just thought that was expertly done. And I thought if the movie's saying anything, it's just saying, hey, we need to get our shit together, which is something, if you don't feel that way, I don't know what to tell you. We can't agree on the simplest shit, in this country. We can't agree on fucking anything. It makes total sense. And it's actually really fucking scary to think about. It really is. But when at the end, when they're walking out in the woods and they see the city and then there's those bombs going off and they just stand there and look at it, it's like, fuck, I mean, what do we do? This shit's real. And it's so goddamn scary. The deer thing is one thing that everybody talks a lot about. I don't know what they're trying to say. At the end of the movie, it looks like all these deer get together and they're going to attack, but then they finally go away. I just don't. The only thing I'm guessing is the deer didn't know what the fuck else to do. Like, there's bombs happening over here. These noises are happening. Are the deer coming to them for help in that moment? I really don't know. Like, even they're like, whoa, this isn't the usual. You're supposed to come in the woods. I run away. You might be a hunter. This is too fucking much. What do we do? You guys are the ones with, souls, allegedly. What do we do? I don't know if that's what the case there was. But in ultimately the ending of it, this girl finds this rich ass people's bunker, which I found it weird that they weren't there. But she finds this rich ass people's bunker, and she's been going on and on and on about, I just want to see the last episode of Friends. I'm never going to know what happens with Ross and Rachel. And her brother's like, yeah, maybe you're not ever going to fucking know. He's like, there's more important things in the world to worry about, and basically go fuck yourself. And the point of that whole thing is where the point of the end of the movie goes. She finds all this cool shit and like this entire bunker. And it seems like you would be running and telling people about this, but she also finds a huge DVD collection. I mean, this was the fucking bunker from Christopher Walken's house in Blast from the Past. She finds the set of Friends, and she finds the last episode and she pops it in. And again, I just love the way this movie looks. The way it's all framed is really beautiful. She pops it in, and the screen comes on her face. You see the brightness on her face from the screen, and the Friends theme song comes on, and the movie fucking ends. And the whole idea is like, I think the director even said this, is like, art is a salve, that's what art is. It's there to, be a sense of comfort or a sense of distraction or whatever. And that matters. And I think like the movie, among other things, was trying to say that, like, hey, this shit is actually important. She's in this bunker around all these survival items, and she has this soliloquy at one point where she's like, I really care. Like, I really care about these characters. And I guess there's that whole thing. If you actually do care, is it real? Blah, blah, blah. I liked where the movie ended. I don't know if there was anywhere else to go. What were they going to show us, them surviving and like living happily ever after or whatever? We're going to show them dying. I don't think that was really the point. I just think it was the point of all disaster movies is really deep down to show us what that would look like, to give us a bird's eye view from a safety nest of what that would look like. Because let's be honest, I mean, it's like a tornado. Like, you want to see it, but you don't want to see it. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's what makes this a good disaster movie. It doesn't get hung up on, oh my God, are they going to survive? And this is the hero and this is the villain. It's just human beings, broken, fucked up, twisted, all the different problems with us and trusting each other and society and all that shit. And then showing what it looks like when it all goes down. And that's probably why this movie is so interesting, because usually in disaster movies, you have those big scenes and it's the CGI shit. And that's what we're all there for, eating our stuff in our faces with our fucking nachos. And we love that shit. But then we're forced to watch this corny ass story with these characters that we really don't care about. That's half fleshed out Michael Bay shit between characters. This movie, the characters are interesting, and the apocalyptic stuff happens. It slowly unfolds throughout the film in different acts. There's an act where these Teslas self-drive themselves and jam up all the lanes so they can't leave to go anywhere. And it's kind of like that scene in Logan when those self-driving automobiles, or those big truckers were moving through, because it was futuristic. But that scene was intense as hell, and it was really cool. And I feel like it was all really well thought out, and it was super interesting. And again, felt like it was pretty fucking realistic. So that's my thoughts on, I'm sure I'm forgetting something. I'm trying not to. There's a lot of interesting stuff that happens in the movie, but whatever I missed or whatever you guys want to talk about, comment below. I will answer. Let's talk about this fucking movie together, because I want to, Greg. I love your all's fucking faces, and I hope you guys have an amazing day.
Here comes that white-faced fucker, an asshole like no other. He's a big old piece of shit. Wants to stab your sister's tits cause he's a white-faced fucker. Loomis can't recover. Dr. Challenge drunk again, sleeping with your sister's friends.
Do you want to know about the darkness?
I said, God damn.
God damn you, faggot!
Halloween never ends, suck my fucking dick, and I don't really care what Blumhouse fucking says. Put him in a box or suck a fucking cock. You can say he's dead, but we all know he's not, yeah.
So let's go trick or treating, let's go fucking drinking, let's all go rent Pumpkinhead on VHS.